Good morning everyone, guess where I am today? I'm actually on board RM 1941 and we're just here at Green Park heading west along Piccadilly on the course of our journey back out of service from Tottenham Court Road back to Wandsworth Bus Garage on this fine but chilly night here in March 2025. Hope everyone's all been keeping well and keeping out of trouble. You know me, I have, but that's a very tall order, even for my good self. So yeah, we're heading back west along Piccadilly, coming towards Hyde Park Corner. Japanese embassy just there on the right hand side. Also coming up to the Park Lane Hotel. Park Royal Hotel. Not in this part of London. Park Lane Hotel just on the right hand side. Also coming up to the Hard Rock Cafe. And of course the RAF Bomber Command Memorial. But lo, we're actually going through the Hyde Park Corner underpass, which makes an interesting change. So just there on the left hand side, that's the Bomber Command Memorial, RAF Bomber Command Memorial, and we're heading through the Hyde Park Corner underpass, which is only open in one direction because they're doing some repair works to the eastbound part of the tunnel. So this is the Hyde Park Corner underpass, which was built in the early 1960s to alleviate traffic congestion in this part of the West End, stroke Mayfair. And then very shortly, once we come out of the tunnel, we shall be coming out onto the Hyde Park Corner stroke Knightsbridge end of the tunnel. So I'm on board RM 1941, where we've just been undertaking a corporate hire over at the Gherkin in the City of London, and we're heading back out of service to Wandsworth Bus Garage. And it's a nice clear evening, but it's quite chilly, so it's the last few remnants of winter as spring slowly makes its presence felt here in London town. Now this is Knightsbridge, so we're coming up to Knightsbridge now. Coming up to the famous Scotch Corner. So we're on the A4 now, heading west towards the direction of South Kensington. Ooh, got a few bumps in the road here, so do excuse the shaky camera work here and there as we cross over the piped-in River Westbourne, which flows underneath here at this point. So this is the junction, this is Scotch Corner. And on the left hand side we have Sloane Street, and the second left is the Brompton Road. First left, of course, is Sloane Street, and the second left is Brompton Road, so we're going to go straight on. And the road leading off on the right, that's Kensington Road, that takes you towards Kensington Gardens and Hammersmith. So we're going along the Brompton Road, where very shortly we'll be passing Harrods, although this time round it hasn't got its illuminations on, so it's probably saving on electricity or whatever, but that's Harrods coming up in the centre of your screen. So that's Harrods, but minus its famous light bulbs. So probably they've let Mr. Bean loose on the plug sockets once again. So this is Brompton Road heading southwest towards South Kensington, so that's Harrods passing us on the left hand side just now. And back in the 1980s, my late dad used to work over the road on the other side of Brompton Road with the Forces Help Society, as was, which is now called the Soldiers, Sailors and Air Force Charity, or SAFA. So just those buildings on the right hand side just there, that's where my late dad used to work as an accountant back in the 80s, where occasionally I'd go and visit my dad in his office. And I used to love looking out the window and watching the Routemasters passing by on routes 14 and 74 at this spot. So very shortly we shall be passing Brompton Oratory as we head west along the A4. There's number 14 on the right hand side of the photo, heading towards Russell Square. For one of the most affluent parts of London, the roads are really bumpy along this bit, which is quite ironic considering we're in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, but I digress. Also on the right hand side on Brompton Road is the V&A, or Victoria and Albert Museum, coming up in the further distance, but we're going to be turning left into Fulham Road. So this, my friends, is Fulham Road, right on the South Kensington and Knightsbridge borders, and very shortly we'll be passing the famous Michelin restaurant, the Bibendum restaurant, which was built in the 1920s for the French Thai company Michelin, or as we call it, Michelin. So we're now coming into the heart of South Kensington. So this building coming up here with the two orange globes on the top, that is the Michelin Bibendum restaurant, which was built in contemporary 1920s Art Deco style. I believe it was around 1928 to 1929 when the building was built. Originally it was built as a motor car garage for Michelin to fit their tyres, but now it's now used as a restaurant, very high class restaurant. Leading off on the right hand side, that street is Pelham Street, which takes you to South Kensington Underground Station, and on the left is Sloane Avenue, which takes you towards Sloane Square. So this is the famous Michelin restaurant just here, as we pass it on the left hand side. So we're now heading southwestwards along the Fulham Road, where we shall be shortly joining Onslow Street on the right, coming up at this next set of traffic lights. Onslow Street also takes you towards South Kensington. So this is Onslow Street joining us on the right hand side, and on the left hand side at this next set of traffic lights is Sydney Street, which takes us down to Chelsea. So we're going to be turning left into Sydney Street as we come off the Fulham Road. So now we're heading southwards along Sydney Street, right in the very heart of Chelsea. You can just about make the famous tower on the left hand side, that is St Luke's Church. This zebra crossing here is quite a famous zebra crossing, because that was the zebra crossing where that photograph of a young boy hauling a toy RT bus was taken back in the mid-50s. And there's an RT on Route 49 stopping at the zebra crossing with a policeman letting the young boy cross the road. Well, that zebra crossing that was just crossed, that was the zebra crossing that featured in the postcard. So very shortly we're coming to the southern end of Sydney Street as we approach King's Road, the most famous street in Chelsea. King's Road, of course, being the home of the miniskirt in the 1960s, punk in the 1970s, yuppies in the 1980s, and trendies in the 1990s. Now this building straight in front of us, this building just here, that is the original former Chelsea Town Hall building, which was originally used as a town hall but is now used as a register office. And I've actually done some wedding hires at this particular place, at Chelsea Town Hall, or Chelsea Register Office. Just on the right hand side, that's Dove House Green, a nice little green space in Chelsea. Also coming up on the right hand side, that's Chelsea Fire Station. On the left hand side is Oakley Street, that takes you towards Albert Bridge and Battersea. So we're now heading along King's Road, one of the most iconic streets in London. This was where the late Vivienne Westwood and Malcolm McLaren had their punk fashion shop called Sex, somewhere along here, and the famous shoe shop Our Souls. Also coming up on the left, you've got the Chelsea Everyman Cinema, which has been rebuilt a few years ago. And we've got a Boris Monster on Route 19 heading to Finsbury Park, or as I call it, Crappy Rub Sniff. We've got another Boris Monster coming up on the iconic Route 11 bound for Waterloo. Now coming up to the junction with Beaufort Street on the left hand side. Beaufort Street, that takes you towards Battersea Bridge and Battersea itself. We're still continuing southwest along King's Road. Very shortly we're coming up to the former World's End pub, named after the World's End estate. Well, the estate was named after the pub. So we're in the heart of Chelsea, and we've just cleared the famous bend in the road at this point of King's Road itself. And as it's quite late in the evening, King's Road is practically deserted except for this cyclist who's slowing us down, as cyclists have a tendency of doing occasionally. Mind you, they can't help that really. Anyway, we've got a nice open road in front of us, so this is King's Road looking towards World's End, or the World's End pub, which we'll be coming up to. This is the World's End pub just behind this tree. Unfortunately it's closed down, so that's the World's End pub on the left. And there's the famous Chelsea World's End estate in all its 1970s delight. Red brick buildings which can be seen from miles around. This is the southern part of the Earls Court one-way system. So this is Edith Grove, where it crosses over King's Road at right angles. We've got the green light, so we can go forward. So this next junction is where the Earls Court one-way system continues on its northward flow of traffic towards the likes of Earls Court and Holland Park, etc. So this is Gunter Grove. King's Road was last served by Routemaster buses on Route 22 back in July 2005. It was actually served by two Routemaster bus routes in the form of Route 11 and Route 22, with Route 11 losing its Routemasters at the end of October 2003, and with Route 22 losing its Routemasters at the end of July 2005. Now very shortly we'll be crossing over the railway itself, which is the West London line, which runs from Clapham Junction through to West Brompton, Kensington, Olympia and Wilton Junction. And then King's Road becomes the new King's Road. So this is the start of the bridge over the railway line here. So we're about to cross over the West London Railway, which is served by London Overground train services and Southern train services, as well as by various freight trains that run on the line during weekdays. So now we've crossed over from the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, and we're now in the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham. And we're not far away from the Chelsea football ground, which is just a 5-minute walk on the right hand side, just off the Fulham Road, home of Stamford Bridge, Chelsea football ground. So now we're on the new King's Road, the A308 New King's Road, heading towards Fulham Broadway, well, Walham Green. So yeah, I thought I'd do this little vlog, seeing as I haven't done one for a little while. Hope you've enjoyed my other few vlogs that I've released on YouTube. It seems that you have, because they've got some nice views on them, so it's always good to get views. So now we're heading towards the direction of Walham Green, or Fulham if you want to be common. Fulham if you want to be common, or Walham Green if you want to be posh. So we're coming up to the junction at this spot here. This is Harwood Road leading off on the right hand side. Harwood Road, which leads you off towards the likes of Fulham Broadway Station and North End Road, West Kensington, Hammersmith, etc. Very shortly we'll be turning left into Wandsworth Bridge Road as we head towards Wandsworth Bus Garage. So the lights are turning to green. So that's Harwood Road on the right hand side, which is where Route 11 goes to terminate by Fulham Broadway Station. Also coming up on the right hand side, just where these trees are, that is Eelbrook Common, which is a nice green space in this part of Fulham. So this is a junction here, so we're going to come off New King's Road here, and and we're going to make the left turn into Wandsworth Bridge Road. So this is the northern end of Wandsworth Bridge Road, which is served by buses on Route 28, as seen by that bus there, Metro line bus going on Route 28 towards Kensal Rise, all the way from Wandsworth. So we're now heading south towards the direction of Wandsworth Bridge and over the River Thames. And in the next 10 minutes we'll be arriving back at our bus garage at Wandsworth, where we shall put RM 1941 away for another day, and then hopefully it'll come out to play in the next few days on Heritage Route T15. We're now in the postcode of London, which is SW6, Southwest 6, which is a postcode for Fulham. W6 is the postcode for Hammersmith. So we've got W6 and SW6, which are both within the borough of Hammersmith and Fulham. But you probably know that already. It's amazing how long Wandsworth Bridge Road actually is when you're travelling down it. It doesn't look all that long when you're looking at it on a map of London or on Google Maps, but when you're actually travelling along Wandsworth Bridge Road, it is quite a very long street to get from Walham Green all the way down to Wandsworth Bridge. But we're not all that far away from Wandsworth Bridge now. Wandsworth Bridge being one of the 20 different river bridges which cross over the River Thames in London. I believe Wandsworth Bridge was built in the early 1930s. I need to check up on that when I get home, because it's got an Art Deco design, and I believe it was actually designed and built in the early 1930s or mid 1930s, but I need to double check that, because I'm always interested in the history of London's river bridges, and it always fascinates me the years in which the bridges were built. So we're coming up to Wandsworth Bridge in the next few seconds. So on the left hand side, that's Imperial Road, that takes you towards Chelsea Harbour. So this is Wandsworth Bridge that we're coming up to now, with these lovely little white lights on both sides of the bridge as we head across from north of the river into the south of the river. So this is Wandsworth Bridge now that we're crossing over. So over in the distance on that side, that's Battersea. And if you look on the other side of the river, that's Putney over in the far distance. And Robbie's put the lights on in readiness for the bus to head back to Wandsworth Garage. So now we're in South London, so we're south of the River Thames as we approach the Wandsworth Bridge gyratory system, or the Wandsworth Bridge roundabout. So this area gets pretty clogged up, especially when the school run is in session every Monday to Friday morning. This part of London really does get snarled up with traffic. But as it's late in the evening, it's got a nice easy feel to it, so there's hardly anybody about. So at this junction, if you turn left at this junction, that takes you towards Clapham Junction and Battersea. And the next junction ahead, if you turn left, that takes you towards Balham and Wandsworth Common and Tooting Beck, and of course Wandsworth Prison. You don't want to end up there, no siree. So that turning on the left where those green traffic lights are, that's Trinity Road, so that takes you towards Balham, Tooting Beck and Wandsworth Common. Also you've got the railway line that takes you from London Waterloo out towards Putney, Richmond, Kingston, Staines, Twickenham and Reading and Windsor. And we've got the green lights and we're forward again. Also on the right hand side you've got the branch of McDonald's where I occasionally go to have an evening meal sometimes when I finish work. So very shortly we'll be making the right turn from Swandon Way. If you keep going along the Swandon Way, if you keep going straight ahead, that takes you towards Wandsworth Town Centre itself. but we're going to turn right and then we're going to turn right again. So this is Smuggler's Way that we're turning into, and then we turn right again into Mile Road, which is this road coming up. And I've got to help my driver get the bus back into Wandsworth Garage because we're locked out at the moment. No, we're all good to go in. We're going in. So we're now coming into the confines of Wandsworth Bus Garage, which was originally built as a tram depot back in 1907. So we're back at our HQ, back at our base. So we're going to refuel RM 1941, so we're just going to bring it into the pit, into the garage. There's RM 1357 on the left hand side and RM 871 in its Union Jack blue and red and white livery. So here we are at Wandsworth Garage, we're back at our base, so hopefully everyone's enjoyed the video. I'll send you a new one at some point very soon. And yeah, have a lovely weekend, and ta for the like.